All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite dark sorcerer here. And today I want to kind of discuss how to tell if a sorcerer is for real or if a sorcerer is basically blowing smoke out their ass. Okay. So every so often, when I'm checking my messages either on Facebook Messenger or under YouTube or wherever, whatever account I normally get under. Like lately, I've been going under TikTok and Timber quite quite heavily lately. So I mean, it's two accounts that I've been working on to build up and all that. So in this case, I ended up getting a question on my Facebook Messenger by a longtime follower. Okay, I believe this individual has been following me now for at least 3 years, if not more. So this is Celtic Hartwell. Okay, so every so often I get a message that really speaks truth, and with everything going on right now in the occult community, and not just that, but worldwide, I found this question very, very interesting. It's thought provocative, and it is right to the point of what's been going on lately, especially over the last 2 to 3 weeks, but also over the last few years. Okay. So I'm going to read you the message and then I'm going to give you my opinion. Okay. And Afro Root Witch, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you back. So the question was, I see ads a lot for different sorcerers offering to buy. Okay. I hate that word as I'm not sure that's what's happening. This spirit or that spirit to a person. A vampire ashram comes to mind. Are any of these guys or ladies reputable? Kavit emptor in all things, as they say. Okay? So, as you can see, you can understand why I thought this was an interesting question. Now, there are a lot of armchair magicians out there that just basically are running a business online. Hell, I've come across a few of them myself. I've applied for online readings, you know, over the years. I believe the first time I actually got a cartomancy reading was when I was a kid. It's where I guess you could say, woke up to the fact that this type of person really doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Okay, they're not a real psychic. They're not a real medium. Okay, because of the fact I was 17 at the time. Like any other kid, testosterone's running strong. The haughtiness, the arrogance. That need to fight. Because you're a guy, and that's what we guys did back then. Hell, some of us still do it today. But you see the point there. So, anyways, so I went to the fair, the local fair one day, and there was this woman doing cartomancy, tarot card. So it's like, fuck it. I'll spend the $5. I don't care. I went in, I sat down, gave her the $5, and she gave me like a 3-card read. Okay, a 3-card read. Not a 5-card read, not a 6-card read, not a 10-card read, but a 3-card read. Okay, past, present, future type thing. This individual didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. Okay, number one, what 17-year-old is going to get married within, you know, a year's time? Especially when you don't have a girlfriend. Okay, when you haven't even graduated high school yet. You see the point there. You don't have a job. You don't have a car. You don't have your own place. So how can you be getting married within a year? You know what I'm saying? Especially as a young kid like that. Now, this is a person that I would say would not be classified as reputable because of the fact that they were all smoke and mirrors, basically looking cool with the part. I'm talking the crystal ball, the hat, the little robed outfit, looking like something out of Harry Potter, the pre-Harry Potter times, and more like wizard school, basically. And so there's really, this person really almost discouraged me from getting out of magic in general because up until this point, I had been studying magic since I was 11, doing cartomancy myself from the time I was 11. So to see this individual come off like this, and it was really disheartening. It really takes that proverbial knife and gives it a big old twist. So after that time, I went into private mode and I just kept studying, I kept practicing, and I came across several others over the years. But it wasn't until roughly around 2000, what was it, 2009, 2010 area, I was living in South Tucson. I'd been traveling back and forth between the East Coast and the Southwest. You know, before living there, I was living in BB, Indiana, and there's really no witches, warlocks, or anything in that portion of Indiana, so I left. And I ended up down in South Tucson, and this is an area that's heavily populated by Catholics. You can't even ride the city bus without seeing somebody doing this type of thing. The inverted cross. And you're the bad guy if you call them out on that. Just saying. But this is also a region that is heavily influenced by the African Caribbean traditions. As I've spoken of in my past videos, Hado Mayumbi and Santeria, two practices that I was initiated into when I was living down. My neighbor, she and her husband initiated me. Okay? She was a real medium. A real medium. She wasn't out there flaunting her shit. She was not out there for popularity or fame. She took me aside one night and said, and I'm going to say this to you right to the point, stop straddling a double-edged sword. Plain and simple. I asked her what did she mean by that. She said, you're trying to serve two masters. Now, anybody who studied the JCI knows that in the New Testament, the four Gospels speaks of you cannot serve God and mammon. Okay? You cannot serve Satan and God. Okay? You cannot serve two masters. You have to choose a side. Otherwise, when time runs out, you're going to be cut in two and cease to exist. Okay? Now, it took me a couple of years to realize fully to the extent of what she was saying. By this time, I'd already been initiated. I'd already left Tucson, I moved to Maine for the first time. I left Maine again, ended up down in Texas, specifically Clarksville, Texas, where, well, let's just say that was the biggest mistake of my life right there. The ass end of the fucking Bible Belt. Hated by Christians and everything for 6 months before I moved back to Maine. So I ended up going back. When I got to Maine, I got invited to a church. And right here is where I started waking up. It had nothing to do with the Christian proportions. It was more myself. I started paying attention to details. I started realizing that their spirit and my spirit were two different things. My path and their path, two different things. So I eventually left the church after about a year. Back in 2013, I started my own foundation, my own order. Okay. Now, this is where I want you to pay attention because this is where this journey to answering this question is going to take place. I wanted to give you a complete backdrop so that you'd have a full understanding, a full in-depth understanding of what I'm talking about here. How do you know when somebody is reputable? Okay. There are three things that classifies any religion according to the United States Constitution. That's the First Amendment. Doctrine, foundation, and a church. Okay? And followers. Three things. All right? Now, when we look at any philosophy, any religious perspective, there's a lot of people picking up a book. 9 times out of 10, if you're into Satanism, it's going to be the fucking Satanic Bible by Antoine de Lefebvre. And they're going to sit there and think that they're masters of the universe. But you got to remember, those who are new, under 5 years, within any given system, they're not masters by a long shot. These types of people are trying to gain popularity by playing the game, not by practicing the arts. I spent 20 years practicing the arts. 20 years. Roughly about 23 years before I opened up my own order, my own foundation, the Order of the Black Thorn. Okay? 23 years. That's no small feat. That's no small feature. Okay? You look at the Temple of Blood. Up until the BBC posted about them, I had no fucking clue who they were until I researched them myself. They're a bunch of radicals, fanatics, basically. And the government's going to deal with them sooner or later, just like they did down in Waco. You watch and see. But here it is. When you go to a customer, you go to, not a customer, but you go to a foundation that is selling themselves, product-wise. Okay? Like I said at the beginning, I've called on these cartomancy type of readings before that you see with these ads, these fancy ads underneath video games or on TikTok, Facebook, social media. Kind of like those dating sites. They're nothing more than a fucking scam. Why? Because this is all they're looking for. Okay? That's all they're looking for. They're not backing anything up with actual facts. Okay? When you go underneath their websites, especially these so-called mediums, these so-called cartomancy readers, have you ever just scrolled down and looked at how good their apps are? Okay? I'm not just talking how good the app is. I'm talking the actual feedback. Okay? If you go underneath Sam's Club or you go underneath Walmart, okay? You go underneath Amazon, okay? And you go to purchase a book, a statue, you have an entire list of individuals who have purchased that item. What did they think about it? Would they recommend it to others? You see my point, okay? Right there, you see my point. But under these apps, do you see this? No. We offer this, this, and this, okay? So you place your email in. Within about 12 hours, you get one email. Good lengthy thing of bullshit. These are people I would not bother dealing with because eventually they're going to sit there and slap you with a gold membership and or a premium membership, a day-to-day trial membership. Pay such and such a thing to get your message, to get your future told. That's what these things are about. These types, I would say, hands down, 100%, or as my brother John Saunders would say, 666% bullshit. Okay? They are not reputable. And if you look at what they do, when you talk to them on the phone, you hear nothing more than a corporation type office. I'm talking one of those corporations where you have your own cubicle. This should be an indicator business, business, not an individual selling their services. But instead, you're dealing with somebody that's getting paid to put a profile together based on whatever information they can gather on you. And it's normally how you reply to them, not reputable. Okay? A voodoo practitioner, for an example, would build a box. They would go out and purchase a box, especially if they are doing a curse, a compassion ritual, maybe even a demonic pact for a client. They would not put it in a shoebox and ship it to a client. No, if you pay somebody to do a pact for you, they're going to go out, they're going to go build a box. Most likely, if you're dealing with a, say for example, a god of death, a spirit of death, if you're a necromancer, you're going to have a coffin. You're going to have all the necessary things associated with death inside that coffin. And you're going to have blood spilled on that particular act. Okay? And it's going to be put in there and shipped to that client. It is going to be professionally wrapped. Okay? Professionally wrapped. I'm talking most likely black linen of some sort, like satin. Okay? They're going to have some form of binding around it to hold it in place until you can either bury it or place it in a dark, damp location that only you would know about. Okay? And if you hire somebody to do a curse for you, they won't just do that curse. But remember, it's what you paid for is the amount of extent that you get. Okay? I was talking with a guy just yesterday. He was actually one of my clients. Okay? And he actually had what is known as confirmation. Why? Because he didn't just go to me. He also went to somebody that I associated with in the past. You see, this guy and I, we're not friends, but we are brothers. Okay? Not blood brothers, but brothers within sorcery, okay? Within necromancy, within a single foundation, okay? Now, we choose to stay away from each other out of respect because we want nothing to do with each other. But this individual is friends with us both in this case. And he went forth. He had a reading done by him. He had a reading done by me. He had a reading done by another Ifa. Okay. For those of you who don't know what an Ifa is, an Ifa is somebody who does godlike things. Okay. Basically, things like prophesying, things like making things, how should I say this? Those that people think can't be done, made manifest. Okay. That is what an Ifa is. Okay. Men like gods. Welcome to the channel. So, anyways, confirmation. This is how you know somebody is reputable. When there is a confirmation moment, when two or more individuals are telling you the same thing through cartomancy readings, that is a sign that maybe what you're obsessing over or maybe going after is actually more harmful to you than to those who are screwing you over. Okay? So, this goes into what I was saying about these unreputable foundations. Okay? Now, let's take for an example, I'm going to throw out a couple of people's names here. Everybody knows who E.A. Quetting is. Everybody knows who E.A. Quetting is, and I'm pretty sure 3 people who liked this thing so far, the 4 people that's given me the thumbs up, will probably just disappear to 0 for bringing it his name. But it's okay. I don't mind because I'm not here to be liked. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to give you the facts. You have a kid fresh on the scene. He's heavily introduced into the forum. Okay. I'm on a lot of EA Quetting's forums. Okay. I pay attention every so often, maybe check in once a month, just to see what's going on. Did anybody post anything new? Now, personally, I've never gone up against this kid. I've never seen this kid's profile or anything, so I can't really speak upon, his connection to Paul outside of that. But the investigation said that he had a blood pact. Okay. Not just a blood pact with demons, but that he also was heavily, involved in the forums of all. That's how to become a living god. Okay. Now, BBC is trying to make E.A. Quetting look like he's supposed to be responsible for this kid's actions. Okay. E.A. Quetting doesn't have to take credit for anything. Number one, none of his books tell people to pick up a gun and go out and kill people. Okay? Nowhere in his books does he tell you to commit genocide. Okay? A Satanist would look at you and tell you 2 main key rules. Number 1, self-preservation. Number 2, self-gratification. Anything that brings you the Satanist pleasure is all good as long as it doesn't violate the highest law, self-preservation. Okay? Now, you look at this. How often does E.A. Quetting get online? Think about that for just a minute. Those of you who have read E.A. Quetting's books, I would direct you to one book in particular, Baneful Sorcerer. First chapter right there. Okay? talks about ritualistic murder. Ritualistic murder here and here. He was comparing the thoughts of killing to black magic, to sorcery. He did not come out and tell you you should go out and slaughter two women in a park. No. In fact, where is it? I actually have this book right here. And I'm going to read it to you. Okay? I actually pulled this book out a little while ago a few days ago, because I was actually looking into something. So, okay. Let's see here. Painful Magic. Right here, the introduction. Okay? From the onset of writing this book, I have not once doubted that it should be written. Painful magic needs to be in the hands of the powerful, regardless of the consequences. This states an opinion. Okay, right here. That is an opinion. That is his personal opinion. Okay. I tend to more think that it should be in the hands of those who actually have a firm foundation and grasp upon what they're doing. Basically, it is the same thought form. And sometimes, because of them, I have, however, questioned as I wrote whether or not, or whether to include certain embarrassing stories. Okay. Certain dangerous rituals in certain extreme circumstances that are sure to bring me under not only social and academic scrutiny, but possibly under criminal investigation as well. After lengthy contemplation, remember what I said, a firm foundation, okay, of understanding, and after consulting those very forces that drove me to write Baneful Sorcery, or Baneful Magic in this case, and which permeate its pages, I have left the book uncensored. My moral, intellectual, and practical downfalls, as with the ritual successes that were perhaps too successful, are left unhidden. Okay? Now, I'm going to go over to the children of the damned. Okay, this is part one. Okay, and it begins on page 160 because it's in the book, The Complete Works. Okay, and I am going to start with the second paragraph. The ability to manipulate and, in some cases, control the very forces that hold the planets in their places and cause the sun to continue to burst in flames is forbidden. But it can be learned. Okay? Notice how he says it has been forbidden by the world. This is because it is Christianized. Okay? Anything not of them is deemed of the devil and therefore evil. And then he goes on and says, as just as God breathes life into man and takes life away without prejudice, which is true, this power can be learned as well. Somewhere in the development and evolution of our species, we have collectively glimpsed something beyond the death that surrounds us daily. We have left the light of the divine source and have heard its music in our hearts, even from so far away. We have seen and recognized miracles in this land of despair. Okay. And he goes on from there for a little while, but you get the point there. He is not writing and telling people to kill. He is not writing to tell you to become the next Charles Manson. No. He is literally getting you to think about the very methods and tools that you're using within your sorcery. Okay. In the morning. So, anyways, so I'm going to go into, okay, right here, page 162. This is where I'm going to get into what I was talking about. The ability to end the life of another human being in a manner entirely undetectable to those uninitiated in the dark arts. Notice how I said uninitiated. Okay. This is black magic, the forces and tools that you're going to use. Now, he writes this underneath murder without tears. That's in bold letters. Okay. And it's underneath chapter 1. And he goes on to say, is one of the greatest motives for learning this black magic. Secondly, only to the driving lust for power, black magic. Second, only to the driving lust for power. The thought is often conjured in the mind of the neophyte. If only I didn't get caught. The desire, often the need to kill, is in some as strong an instinct as that which drives people to procreate. You see what he's doing? He's comparing giving life and taking it, just like any god. You look at the justice system. They can save a life by putting out a protective order, an order of protection, a no trespassing clause, or they can condemn an individual to death row. Okay? Now you look at the gods. You have Osiris, the god of iniquity. Okay? He weighs your own guilt and will condemn you based off that guilt. On one hand of the scale, you have ding, 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 a feather. On the other one, you have gold. Okay? Your iniquity. Okay? You go into Greek mythology and you have Hecate, the goddess of justice. Okay? So I want you to think about this. What can you do through black magic and sorcery? And how does this come into play with reputable or unreputable people? Okay. A lot of people, when they think of Charles Manson and his family, they they tie him in with the Church of Satan. Okay, because he was once a member of the Church of Satan. What they didn't realize or take into an account is that Charles Manson was banished. He was shunned from the COS, the Church of Satan. Okay? If they had done a Google search, if they had actually asked questions, they would have known this. But we're talking the news outlets here. Okay? What sells papers? What stories are good enough for this? Okay? So we're looking at least 2 pages here. Okay? roughly about roughly about a page and a half, really, if not a little bit more, of just that, just his perspective on how black magic can be to use to create or to destroy a life. What kind of mindset do you have to be in to perform a said rite? Okay. Now, I've had clients, and my leg's falling asleep, so I'm going to move my leg here. I don't sit on the floor that often, so it's kind of unique here. So she's getting you into that state of mind of where you have to start thinking of yourself as a god. You are the god of your own universe, your own sorcery, your own methods. Now, you take somebody like me. What do I always tell you to do? Okay? In my videos, whatever you preach, always back it up. He's doing the same thing, okay, within his book. But unlike him, I don't have a lot of legions of people coming in and helping me write these books. Okay? In fact, I do my own studies. I do my own works. Everything I have done myself. I don't have big time friends like to sit there and do videos and well, let's just say it the way it is, shoot the breeze and live stream videos like Nate Bales and E.A. Wedding or Orly Stewart and J.D. Temple. Okay, but then again, my foundation didn't implode either, so I'm just saying there. I don't know what caused the implosion and the breakup of the band, so to speak, in that foundation. But the one thing I can say is E.A. Wedding and How to Become a Living God is still standing. Even after this onslaught of a newspaper article that was poorly written, by the way, was trying to pull on those proverbial links to try to make a story to sell papers. Okay? Even with the breakup of the band where some of the members became enemies, Bong is still there. They still perform their rituals. They still perform their sorcery, their services, even. He's still in play. Now, you take, let's go with S. Ben Cayenne. Here's a man that really, his private life is his private life. You know, he's not one that delves into drama. In fact, you don't hear anything about this guy unless he's promoting his services. And 9 times out of 10, it's an upcoming ritual or rite that you can purchase of him. I can honestly and earnestly tell you that I actually paid him for a service once, just once, and I would do it again. Why? Because what that rite that he did for me, and roughly, if I remember correctly, it was like I want to say it was like 35 to 50 other people that took him up on that service. He did the live video with the flames burning and he was dropping the papers in. Okay? Reading off the names. And you know what's interesting? He opened a door that I couldn't because I wasn't ready to open up that door. But he was. And like I said, I would do it again in a heartbeat. S. Ben Cayenne is reputable. I would recommend people to him. Papa Shadow, okay, a voodoo practitioner, a Boko. A lot of what I've seen when I was friends with him on Facebook a couple years back. Matter of fact, it was actually last year. now that I'm thinking about it. Every so often I'd see, one of my other online friends, he'd post, thanks to Papa Shadow, a right done by Papa Shadow. You get underneath the guy's page and you don't see any rights underneath his page. You don't see very much of anything. All you know is that he's a bokor in Buddha. I actually had a conversation with this guy a few times. He recommended to me a few books that would benefit me. In fact, I actually went out and have them saved in my Amazon account. Unfortunately, when I got my new phone, I lost it. But it's okay. They're still on mine for sale. So, but anyways, the last time that I talked to him, it was when I was getting into Wudang last year. And I learned something from him that, well, let's just say a lot of Hungans and Mambos on social media today basically frown upon and really despise that little tidbit of truth come out. That a Bokor can easily become one of them, and vice versa. They don't like that being known to the public. But I really don't give a shit. In that I respect the religion and I respect the people. I respect the Loa. So when we think about reputable people, Papa Shadow is pretty good. He's helped a lot of people through his work. Just like S. Ben Cayenne. Just like E.A. Quetting. Asenath Mason. Her research is sound. Bill Duvendak. They're very sound people. I've had good conversations with Bill Duvendak. In fact, we actually have the same enemy. But you know what? He's not up there attacking me. In fact, he came to me one day, and I turned around and returned the favor. We've had good conversations. I like their books because they are backed up with both mythological and historical accuracy. I would recommend them hands down. But then you got people like Ed Morrow, aka Papa Smoke. Or as some people in the community, I don't know who came up with it, but they refer to him as Papa Joke. Okay? This guy sends his clients a shoebox full of odds and ends. Not properly wrapped, not professionally done. He's betrayed so many people. He's not reputable. In my opinion, he's a drama queen. The only time he pops his nose up to talk smack about people is when he needs money. In fact, I actually received a message underneath my YouTube account from a woman that said he's only with me for protection and money. Protection and money. Hiding behind a skirt. Yeah, real manly. I know, right? But my point is this. If you're gonna if you want to look at who's reputable as a sorcerer and who's not, I would recommend looking at how they deal with things. Okay? I would recommend looking at their accounts. Do they back up what they preach? Do they always make themselves available to the public? Okay, that's just from my perspective. Do they have any tutorials, so to speak, from clients who have come out and said, I recommend this individual because such and such an individual did a right for me and it came true. You see this all the time with Bokor Leonard Imera. Okay? He literally posts, I don't know how he does it. I really don't. But he takes the image of just words, no video, just like a snapshot of a photo of a conversation, and slaps it on YouTube. For the life of me, it baffles the hell out of me, but it's there. And it's from a client, okay? And or he'll do a live video of one of his consultations with somebody on the phone, reputable. And he's always putting it out there. Even through my own studies into Buddha since last year, Haitian Buddha to be precise, I would take his word over anybody, a lot of these others today, especially those from, say, for example, New Orleans or from Salem, Massachusetts, where the witch trials were. A lot of these ones from Salem, Massachusetts or from LA, they're just more corporate. They're not in it for the arts or the practices. They're more in it for the money. They made it into a business. Okay. If I do a right for somebody, number one, I set one price. One price. That I'm not going to sit there and go, okay, for every question, you're going to owe me another $150. No. I had a client who's, well, let's just say, enemy kept doing this. He paid for a service. And every time he asked a question about that said service, he's getting charged for each question. You look at E.A. Wedding's prices on his site. One price for cartomancy, for divination. One price for rituals. One price for a book. Normally his books range roughly about $30, unless they come in a series like the 9 Kings or the 9 Demonic Gatekeepers. Then you're looking at roughly about $200 to $300 per book. But still, it's one price. For this book here, I paid roughly about $107, and that was including shipping and handling, just for this book alone. But you look at it, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different grimoires written in it. Okay? So, I mean, $107 is a good price for that many books. Okay? Some of these newer ones, you're looking at about $200, if not free. Okay? But it's good. I would definitely pay that amount of money for those books. Not just because he's got essays in them. No. It's because of who he's acquainted with. You look at Edgar Cavall, for an example. He runs I've written a few essays for him for a couple of his books. And it's interesting because of the fact that he sends these books to me where my essays are in it for free. I don't pay for shipping and handling or for the book itself. I would gladly pay for the book. I would gladly pay for that shipping and handling because these books are awesome. They have numerous different practitioners who have written it, not just myself. Okay? It's the same thing with E.A. Wedding's books. Same thing. S. Ben Cayenne, he did his own research. It's based off his own experimentations, his own rites, his own rituals, his own experiences. These people, I would say, hands down, are reputable. Now, I can't speak on what happened, to Dante Abiel. I can't speak to that. I know he wrote one book. It's a great book on necromancy. I own the fucking book. Okay? I loved it. Some of it, I will tell you, seemed a little far-fetched, but, more like a story than an actual grimoire. But you name one grimoire in journal that really doesn't come across that way. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at who's reputable and who's not, look at how they're handling themselves. How do they how do they come to you personally? Does it sound like they're running a corporation, or is it somebody who's actually paying attention to you? To you, not to me, but to you. Okay, it would be like, let's say, Purpose 7447. Okay, who posted on here, I was never interested in the wedding. Well, to be fair, not many people are into those books. It. I've had this book now for this one book now for about 2 years. This is my second time through it. It's taken me that long, and to get through it once, and I'm on my second time through. 2 years, and that's where I'm at right now with this book. Okay, is Baneful Sorcerer. All right, so not everybody's going to be interested in that field, okay, or that author's methods and tools. That's why the black arts and the root workings are up to the individual, not the herd conformity. But when you look at reputability, are any of these guys or ladies reputable? Yeah, there's quite a few of them out there. You just got to know where to look. But I see ads a lot for different sorcerers offering to bind. Okay, number one, in this fashion, you got to understand that a binding can mean a number of different things. Okay, number one, you can bind somebody's powers. You can bind them so they're not hurting others or themselves. Or you can bind a spirit to a location or an object. Okay. But you can also bind an object to a location. You see what I mean? There's a lot of different meanings behind binding. Today, a lot of individuals that are following magic are more into the Wiccan and pagan processes of binding. They're so connected. How should I say this? They're so wrapped up in white light pursuits that they really don't delve into the darker aspects to find that balance and to have that firm foundation and that grasp of what they're doing. But you also don't see a lot of Wiccans and pagans selling their services either. I mean, you'll see a lot of them, become, how should I say this, ghost hunters, paranormal, investigators, stuff like that. But some of them will just write books. You know, you look at, how should I say this? Let's look at Christopher Penziak or Silver Ravenwolf, Raymond Buckland. Let's go with Lori Bruno. Okay, huge fan of Lori Bruno. She's like 86 years old, 90 years old, and she's still doing what she loves doing. She runs her own store. Okay. The only thing I have an issue with is the fact that she works with angels. Just saying. As a dark arts practitioner, you wouldn't catch me dead doing that. Probably the fallen ones, yes, but not things like Michael and working with both Michael and Lucifer. No, that would be like canceling out your own, magic. Which one's that, Behemoth? I just mentioned a whole bunch of books. Oh yeah, Papa Shadow. He's pretty cool. Yeah, I concur with you on that. His stuff is pretty cool. Now, I haven't personally worked with him. I've talked to him a few times, but I really didn't have any. I didn't hire him for jobs or anything. But then we had a falling out last year when I got into Voodoo, and he ended up blocking me out of the blue for some reason. I don't know why, but I hold dear what he told me though. So I'm glad to see you on here, though. So, yeah, yeah, complete works. Yeah, because I also have what's his name there, Connor Kendall's book on necromancy as well. I recommend his book too, not just the Dante Abiel's book. But anybody who's interested in black magic from a fresh, unique perspective, I would recommend these. But I would also recommend, if you can get your hands on them, things like Charnel Whispers or The Left Hand Path Grimoire, the Black Scriptures from the Mazachera. Okay. Those books are very, very awesome, and they really speak heavily on necromancy from a historical and mythological perspective. I mean, I learned so much just within a year of just studying Charnel Whispers. That you look at all those books that I got just of Simon Stradwood books that he released. Charnel Whispers is probably the most read book on necromancy that I own. It's just the way it is. I resonate with it. Okay, but yeah, I do concur with you. Um, Behemoth X. I would definitely recommend the complete works to clients as well. But I would also recommend the Temple series by Christopher Penziak as well. And the reason for that is because Christopher Penziak in his books, he may be a shaman, but he also has his own schools up and down the eastern seaboard. And his books are full of mythology. I'm talking folklore, mythology. He speaks not just on one tradition, but he speaks on a wide range of it. And he takes witchcraft and he breaks it down almost like an alchemist would do to components. He makes it into a religion, a science, and an art. And he literally goes right into it. Now, that's the ones I would recommend to my clients, and the ones I do recommend to them is the Temple of Outer Witchcraft, the Temple of Inner Witchcraft, the Temple of Shamanic Witchcraft, the Temple of High Witchcraft, the Temple of Living Witchcraft, Volume 1, The Goddess, and then finally the Temple of Living Witchcraft, Volume 2, The God. Okay. And I would also recommend the book of the Book of Ascension Magic by him as well, not just the Witch's Shield. You want to learn defensive magics? He's got some good white lighter aspects there, and that one there. But his techniques, he does not give off any rituals whatsoever. And I think that what separates, the true practitioners from who are earnestly interested in learning and developing those skills compared to those who are just in it for fame and fortune and becoming popular is the fact that Christopher Penziak doesn't put rituals into his books. He does, however, offer exercises that you can work on at your own discretion. And that's one of the reasons why I respect him as a practitioner. Not just the fact that necromancy and shamanism have a long history together, but the fact that he puts out so much knowledge in his books. And as a man that enjoys knowledge and wisdom, enlightenment, you can see why I like his work. I do like E.A. Whiting's works as well. I will tell you that. And like I said, the men that I've mentioned here today in this video, minus Ed Morrow, I would recommend that you go to because these people are reputable. Edward Morrow, not so much. Okay. I've had people come to me who's actually, paid for his services. I've had a brother of mine come to me from a client and discuss, history and stuff like this from a certain topic, which I'm not going to get into. That one of his clients went to Ed Morrow on, and let's just say, um, even the Babalawi, the council, and every Hungan that I've ever spoken with, not just Mambos. I've only spoken to maybe 2 Mambos on this. they've all said, what the fuck is this guy's problem? He is no Bokor. He is no practitioner of Budan. Now, if you understand where he's coming from, though, when he calls himself Papa Smoke, this is a Dominican Republic terminology for their Hangan of Dominican Republican Budan. Okay? No, you got to learn the difference there because there's different terminologies. But the word Boko or Bokor is basically the same no matter what region of the world you're in. And that's why I don't recommend him to anyone. Anyone who's ever had dealings with him have regretted it hands down. Okay? They wish they never even heard of this guy. But, you know, it is what it is. He's brought it on himself. But he has to take responsibility for his actions. But as for the question that was put forth by Celtic Hollywell on my messenger page, she asked a very good question. How do you tell the difference between a reputable individual and an, a not reputable practitioner? That's what I would recommend to you right there, hands down. Look at look at how they represent themselves. Okay, you don't see EA Coeting going around trying to bash people just to make himself look good. You don't see S. Ben Cayenne going out there bashing people to make himself look good. You don't see Papa Shadow doing it. Okay, it, it's you know what I'm saying. You don't even see Kendall Connor doing this, and he's a young kid. He's a husband and a father and a significant other. This shows responsibility, maturity, a clear understanding of the arts and practices. Okay? Yeah, exactly, brother. Look how they live their life. Okay? Everybody who knows me knows that I have a soon to be 4-year old as of next month. Okay? My better half. Both of these two are spoiled freaking rotten. 3 days ago was my better half's birthday. We both worked on her birthday. So I took her out to her favorite restaurant tonight or today and spent $50. I took her out shopping, got her roses and her favorite flowers. Okay. So, and my son, anytime he's ever wanted something, like he put up, let's just say he put up with a dentist. Okay. Poking around in his mouth like they would with an adult. Okay. And he ended up with Kong because he really likes Kong. But he also wants what do you call that dinosaur looking thing there, Godzilla. So we're trying to teach him how to potty training and stuff like that. So every time he does good, he gets a sticker, and when he fills up those stickers, he gets a treat. But when he's behaved like he did that day, I ended up buying him Kong. Yesterday, I took him out shopping because he spent the day with Daddy. What happened? He ended up getting a Nerf gun, or as he likes to call them, a sleepy dart blaster, and he got 5 cars of his choosing. Okay? Why? Because he's my boy. I spoil my family rotten. I'm the go-to guy when they want something. They spent, my better half spends her money like Grant took Richmond. I think that's just a female thing, but I don't know. But the point is that when they want something, she needs her car fixed, or she gets into an accident, or she needs help with something, she comes to me. It's like all the cats that are here. They come to me because I'm the alpha. I'm the guy with all the money. I'm the guy who's successful. But I don't go around flaunting it. Okay, and as my brother just said, right here, look how they live their life. Okay? Plain and simple. I couldn't have said it any better than that. I just spent an hour and five, minutes and some odd seconds giving examples, giving you actual names that I would recommend. And he just summed it up in one small sentence. That's awesome. That's all I got to say. Some people are just better with words. So, thanks, brother. So, yeah, I mean, it was funny. My better half got into a car accident just before Christmas. She didn't call her family. She didn't call her best friend. She called me directly. I'm the one that's paying off one of her screw ups. I'm the one that she goes to when she needs a temperature change or if she needs an easy day of work. And I just call on the gods. I call on the spirits and say, hey, this is what you know, whatever the cost is, I'll grant it. Consider it done. And it's there. Or I'll just do a storm spell and end up with a a thunderstorm because the storm's already on its way. My ASM at the store I work at really hates that about me. But I've got the funny thing is where I live, I've got the respect of not one, not two, but three different police departments, fire departments. I've got people that owe me favors because I've done things for them. But you know what? It's there. You look at how somebody lives their life, you look at, you know, what do they do for the community? Do they simply take, and take, or do they actually give back? You look at my channel, for an example. I've done a necromancy series, the how to, not just the historical and methodological aspects, but the how to. I did a Satanism series. Journey into Satanism was the name of it. Bam. Same exact thing. I even gave the tools that are used, not just the history of it. It's there. My channel is an educational channel. You take my brother Behemoth X for an example. I am envious and I am jealous of this guy's altars. I kid you not. I don't know how he is able to do all his altar setups the way he does, but they are beautiful. I am definitely envious. But my point, but it's interesting. He's gone out and bought houses. I'm still in a one-bedroom apartment. Okay, but we're also saving up for our first apartment, our first home too, together. It's only taken us about 4 years. In about another year, she's actually in college right now, so we can't really go anywhere. But she's graduating in December. Okay, so once she graduates, then we're going to go get a house, and we'll most likely be leaving Maine. So I know she wants to go down to Tucson. So who knows? Maybe we'll just go down there, get a place. But that's the point. A sorcerer is basically an alpha. You've got to be able to give and receive at the same time. Commerce is something that unfortunately has been a part of magic and the world for hundreds of thousands of years in one form or another. Not everybody is able to pay with money. If you look at the past, they actually gave furs and fish as well, something of equal value, which was kind of cool. I sometimes do things for people just because I'm looking for something to do. I had a client from Croatia. She sat there and told me a little bit about what was going on. And I said, "You want me to do a curse?" Yeah. I'm like, okay. Very next day, the guy was pale as a ghost and literally looked like he lost the lead from his pencil. Kind of taught him a little lesson. But you know what? That's the thing that makes magic great, especially when you're looking at people who are reputable and not. I'm not always I'm not always looking for people to pay me. Sometimes I'm just bored looking for something to do. Other times I'm looking at sources where I can direct the frustrations and anger of work. Persons seem to work out great that way. In fact, I just finished up a week and a half worth of cursing of one person. He's now resting. Let's just say this die buck box with the cursed item is now resting in the bottom of a river. Yes, a river. You consider the frustrating part about last night was trying to, well, let's just say I tried digging a hole in the woods, met with way too many freaking roots. Went to go to the cemetery to do that. Too many freaking people. Of course, can't park on the street because of all the goddamn fucking how should I say this, construction going on, because they're doing sewer repairs and they're doing paving and curbs and all that shit, so you can't park anywhere within about like 3 miles. I mean, yeah, I'd like to see what would happen when you're walking down the street with a shovel in one hand and a cursed item in the other. Oh, you know, so you see the point there. So I finally just said fuck it and went down to the river and just went right off a pier, right off into the river, So it's kind of funny, but you see what happens there. You're gonna be met with certain challenges like this. So when you give the gods how should I say this? When you give them their due, you know, you'd be surprised what happens. So I really want you to look at what's reputable and what's not, and how they live their lives. I find humor in a lot of things, but at the same time, when it comes to what I do, I'm serious about it. You know, I've seen Behemoth X's videos, and some of those results are just mind blowing. You look at things like you look at some of the rites that J.S. Garrett has done, just in the flames alone. I've watched a few of the rites and rituals that Curtis Joseph did, and it was surprising. Now, I'm not really a big fan of Curtis Joseph's work, but you can't deny his results in that area. So really look at what are their what are the comments and outlooks of their rights and their services. Okay, do they come across as, say, for example, a business or a corporation, or are they individuals actually doing things themselves? Okay, I would recommend that you look at people, they do things for themselves. Okay, number one, it's more personal. Number two, it's direct. It's that one-on-one communication. Okay, maybe it's just because me, because I'm old school in that area. I would rather be talking to you like this than to sit here and text. But that's just my view. Okay, there's a number of things you can look up. There's a number of things that you can Google. And if you get underneath their sites, you're going to see customer comments and views. You get underneath some of these, what do they call them? Blogs, I think they are, or business pages for their, on Facebook and social media. The one thing I go to when I first get underneath them is I look at the reviews. Okay, how many people would highly recommend this group? Okay, or this individual? How many people would give them, say, what kind of, if they had stars, what level of stars would they give? 1 or 5? Okay. What are their perspectives of the service that this person provided for them? Okay. I don't look at how many subscribers they have. I don't look at how popular they are because those things can be deceiving. Okay. Somebody could be paying them to do that. Now, if you really want to know what somebody thinks about you, ask. Have you ever heard of such a business? Have you ever dealt with it? What was your thoughts on it? And I can tell now personally, I've never had my brother Bohemian Effects do a write for me, but I can tell you that he is reputable, and this is why. I had some financial issues. What was it, about a year ago? There was actually 2 times in the last year. I had a little bit of financial issues because of things that were going on. Money was so tight that it was kind of that worry about how am I going to pay for all this stuff because of what I was putting out at the time. And he offered me money, okay, to help me pay something off, but all he asked was me to pay him back. And the thing is, that has stuck with me. Okay, this is a true brother. Okay, this is a man that if he needed something from me and I had it, I would give it to him. Why? Because he would do the same for me. Okay, that's loyalty, that's trust, that's reputable. Okay, and that's the point behind it. Again, what did he say earlier? Look at how they live their lives. I've always said two things. Two things. Actions and words. When they are aligned, you're good. But when they're separate, there's the door. That's all I got to say on that. All right? Same, brother. So that's my thoughts on what Celtic asked of me on Messenger. That's my views of it. And like I said, I gave you some people to look into. I even gave you some foundations to look into. And like I said, just look at some of those things. I wouldn't recommend looking at the tutorials and stuff like that because, like I said, that just somebody said could be paying them for that. I would actually ask people who have actually had their services done. Okay, that's what I would recommend. Look at the reviews. Plain and simple. Look at how they live their lives. All right. Have a good night. I want to thank my brother Bohemoth X, Men Like Gods. Uh, hey, Technicians USA, you snuck in here. Welcome to the channel. Huh. And then Afro Root Witch. See who else is in here. Purpose 7447. And that's everybody. Okay. Want to thank all of you for joining in with me tonight. Means a lot. And for those of you who are coming on after this video has ended and been posted, hope it helps you out in the future. Hope it's been enlightening, educational. And until next time. All right. I'm gonna go make some more coffee. It's gonna be a long night for me. So have a good one. And until next time.